right, bus number 1033. So as I was getting on the bus, I turned off the recording. You had a few women that walked by, looking at my crotch. And as I got on the bus driver also stared at my crotch. He did it a couple of times because I just wanted to see what he was looking, just to make sure that, if you're going to do it again. And I certainly did. And so, also, as I was on the bus, there was a woman, black woman, a Sambina, I should say, Sambina, outside, standing there. She had a black handbag. No, sorry, not black, brown handbag. She had a brown handbag. And as I got on the bus, there was a black SUV pulled up. I don't know if he knew her or not, but maybe he was trying to talk to her. And he kind of like drove off. Then she turns to look at me as I was sitting out on the bus. And she, pinched her nose, staring at me. So I had to take my phone on and record. You guys gonna see a little snippet of her. I'll upload the video before this one, but this is what they were doing. All right, Hispanic male. Again, the use of the guys in dreadlocks. It doesn't bother me. They only not only do this to me, but they do this to other guys as well who I've spoken to about it. But lately they've been using a lot of these Hispanic Sambos and Sambinas to engage in my targeting, what I call ethnic targeting at times. And they'll use them, not as much, but then they'll start blitzing you with one particular sort of ethnic group, right, besides your own. They're going to use your own most of the time. But how they doing what they, with the blitz, right, and it's supposed to look at you in some way. So, staring at the building here, because she did the same thing. She did the same thing too. So building, again, trying to tell you that if you build, right, financially, they will use these women to accuse you and all this shit. So, as we see play out in the public with P. Diddy, even though what he did, but they settled that shit. But with other groups like other men, right, like Johnny Depp, that sort of thing. Who else? Like, you see all these women now are claiming that these men did this to them and such and such. They understand how to manipulate us and how to use women against us and how to use women and put them in certain situations because, again, women are more, it's like this, for example, we talk about like the rock stars. So the rock stars, how many women go to these rock concerts, they're looking at their red car. Yeah, you can look at their red car. I put my hand in my ears. Is he looking over there? But anyhow, this is the stuff that See, looking at the building. Oh, what's up with the building? It's a damn what is it? Juris Center, whatever the hell. Anyhow. But they'll do shit like that. Look at me with the chase jacket. The chase shirt, I mean. So they'll send you this type of subliminal message, which really doesn't mean, doesn't bother me, right? I just expose it because I want people to understand and see what it is that they do, how they engage in targeting, how they engage in weaponizing people, how they engage in spreading rumors and the villainization of a targeted person because, that's, again, not only do they use this as exercise practice on us as TIs, but again, it's to cover up the non-consensual human experimentation. Always remember that. So never forget that, regardless of what they are telling these, civilian perps. And again, constantly looking at the building. It's like they're constantly looking at the building over here. And again, it has to do with the color, right? So the color, that's where he comes down over here. Let's see, same complexion. I guess it's the complexion. That's what it is. Neurolinguistic programming. Talk about colorism. What I talk about, right? Look at that. Colorism. Right? The colorism and them using Hispanic men with Pam and then trying to get me to talk to Hispanic women or lighter skinned women. So they can, again, that's how they create the the separation and division between black men and black women, conditioning black women to date lighter skinned men and white men, and conditioning black men into the same, so that we don't look at each other as viable mates. Okay, so yeah, this is what they do, and they're very slick. They're very, very slick. And again, how they put you through these things is through to manipulate you, to indoctrinate you, to and then to try to accuse you of certain things. I mean, come on, you're conditioning the people, particularly, like, for example, the sexual assaults that they do, right? Or the sexual harassment that they do. I shouldn't say assault, but harassment. They're not actually, like, they'll have dudes come up to me and grabbing their crotch. It used to happen so much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if people are constantly doing that in front of you, you're going to recognize it, right? So again, come on now. Like, we know how psychological conditioning works, right? For those of us who understand. For the mass amount of people who don't understand how psychological conditioning works, they're going to believe whatever they're being told, because they don't think. They're sheeps. That's why you call them sheeps. That's why they call themselves sheeps, right? The sheeps and the shepherds. Okay? Always understand. Always know that. And don't be fooled by it. If you're a TI, learn psychological conditioning, learn these things, learn about Zoom, Quantum Pro, and you'll understand. You will certainly understand. Don't ever forget. Don't be afraid. They can't do anything to you. Just remember, as long as they keep it in the psychology realm, that's fine. The minute they get physical is when you put them in a hospital. Always remember that. Okay? The minute they want to get physical, like I said, that's when you need to put them in their place in the hospital. So yeah. So again, I want you to understand that's why they keep coming up here, walking, looking at the building and shit. Because the minute he comes over here and stands up over here, they come and they'll look at him and they'll look at the building. Again, colorism, right? What we talk about. Neuro-linguistic programming, Dark NLP, triggers and anchors. All right? But you can defend yourself against it. You can defeat them. All right? They're not winning. They're losing. That's why they act the way that they act. This is why you see them, when they start running and they start do the hit and run thing. They want you to believe that they're winning against you in terms of trying to manipulate you, right? Trying to destroy your life. Don't believe that shit. Don't believe that shit at all. They may be able to do some things to you, but they can't do everything to you. All right? They cannot do everything to you. Always remember that. And how do you defeat your enemy? You learn the tactic and the warfare that they do against you. All right? He's grabbing his crotch. Again. All right? Look at it. The hand signal. I want you guys to see. Why? Because she came over with this color shirt. He looks at her and he starts doing this stuff. So, yeah. Understand what they're doing. Understand what they are doing. So that they cannot manipulate you. So that they cannot emotionally, negatively affect you. You learn what it is that they do. And turn it against them. Turn it back on them. Alright? Turn it back on them. That's all. Remember, they're in groups. You're one person. Right? They need to be in a group or a gang in order to engage in that sort of behavior, right? So it shows you exactly who they are. That they are followers. Always remember that. As a TI, as a targeted person, always remember that they need to be in a gang in order to attack you. Right? It's like bullies, right? But when you catch the bullies alone and you give them a taste of their own medicine, what do? What do the bullies do? What do? They run. Right? They run. That's what they do. They run. The bullies will run. Always remember that. Because you got to understand the psychology of bullies. You got to understand the psychology of sheeps. You got to understand the psychology of those who are indoctrinated. Right? They have a certain personality traits that have been conditioned into their mind. Go and read the the Peck analysis, the analysis of evil, and you'll see how Hitler and his psychiatrists and psychologists conditioned the German people to allow them to do what they did to their neighbors, right? The European Jews. And I always understand that, right? Always, once you read that, it's called Krabak's The Analysis of Evil. Go read that. So just as how, like I said, that when they start to turn against these other groups, right? These other groups are not going to be able to say anything or do anything because you know what? They've got them to commit evil. And so it's called a catch-22. Manipulating people to engage in criminal activity and evil and then do the same thing to them. That way they can't even say anything because they have dirtied their hands into committing the crime against an individual or a group of people. But you see, like I said, people don't think, right? Particularly Black and Hispanic people, they don't think. They are the two most religious group in America, more so than white people. And so you can manipulate them in any which way you want. And never forget, it is the white people who are pulling the strings. Never forget that. It is the white people who are pulling the strings. All right? So, what do you do as a TI? Expose them. Let them know that what they're doing don't bother, don't affect you. So ultimately, like I said, they keep it in the psychological realm because they know better. Particularly against certain groups of people, certain TIs. Okay? So yeah. They're not brave people, they're cowards. And you gotta treat them as such and understand that's who they are. A bunch of cowards. All right? Always remember that. Don't ignore the reality like they do. Anyhow, so new linguistic program. First, persuasion. Weaponization of the civilian population against a civilian target or civilian targets. Learn about it. All right, go read B.F. Skinner, Operant Conditioning. All right, go remember, operant conditioning, it is a reward and punishment type of conditioning, as well as classical conditioning. All right. I think I forgot the name of the psychiatrist that came up with classical conditioning. I can't believe I forgot the name. But it just goes to show you, and I should know their name. Then you also have James Watson. James Watson, who came up with the term societal conditioning. All right. So, like I said, as TI, you gotta, once you learn the truth, you understand that they all are being conditioned in some way. And so you just gotta laugh because their ignorance is that they don't know, but you know. Right? That's their ignorance. Their ignorance is that they got a false sense of power. But at the same time, they're being conditioned, they're being radicalized, they don't even know it. Trust me on that one. If history, remember, history always repeats itself. Okay? Okay, you got the Jews, the fake Hebrews and the fake Israelites. Look here. They love it when I expose them. And the fact that all these groups hate black people because they know black people populate them. The Hispanics, the Jews, the Europeans, they all came from black people. See if these Mexicans will go and do a DNA test, they will see that they got African blood in them. I know more of the history than they do. When the Spanish almost decimated the Mexican population, the indigenous Mexican population, what did? They bought slaves, and what? They interbreed the native Mexicans with the native Africans, right? Remember also, These lighter-skinned Mexicans are not the original indigenous population. The indigenous population were black. All right? But they will have these groups hate black people based off colorism and racism. So, again, prove my point. Colorism is used against them, and colorism was used to manipulate them against black people and use them as a weapon against black people. So, there you go. So you got to educate the ignorance. Teach them the truth. Because it can happen to, it will happen, not it can't, it will happen to them, as well as other groups who participate in this stuff. All right, anyway, the psychologist I was thinking about for that coined the term classical conditioning. Ooh, what is his name? It's a name I say it all the time. But again, it shows you. And the reason why I say these things about talking is to show you guys how they're targeting and also being hit with direct energy weapon, how it affects our memory. All right, so certain things that we will know naturally, like I talk about it all the time, you will tend to forget a lot of the things because of that. So again, anyhow, what else? Oh, the bus is taking a long time. And it's early. It is early. It is, what time is it? Look, the fake Jews. I should say the fake Jews, but the fake Hebrews, the fake Hebrew Israelites. All right, these people are a bunch of liars. Just remember, they converted into Judaism in the 10th century, right? And they didn't even call themselves Jews. They were Khazai, or Khazarians. So go look up the Khazai Empire. You'll see what I'm talking about. But somehow they feel that they can tell other groups of people who is Semitic and who is not. And these are not Semitic people. These are liars. They're fakes, right? And they know it. All right, so they hate people like me who have knowledge, hate people like me that know the truth. That's why they cannot argue with me. They cannot say shit, because I tell them all the time, I know your history. You are descendants of the Khazais. You are European Jews. You are not a Semitic people. Black people are Semitic people. Arab people are Semitic people. These people are not Semitic people. But yet, they go and tell the world that they're Semitic, and you engage in anti-Semitism for speaking the truth. Right? Go look up their history. They know it. That's why they can't take a DNA test in Israel. Why is it against the law for them to take a DNA test? Because it will show, and some of them have already done it, and they'll show that they are Europeans. They have no ancestor, they are not descendants of anybody from Palestine, right? From any place in the so-called Middle East today or North Africa. All right? They are not. So, when they use them, I'll speak the truth, because I know they don't like the truth. I know they're afraid of the truth, and when they walk by, I tell them the truth, because they know. You got to educate them too, because ultimately it's the Zionists that have been conditioning them to believe in the lie. All right, it is the Zionists that condition to believe in the lie. Remember, when I say all groups of people come from Africans, I'm not lying. Right? Whether it be white people of Europe, whether it be the indigenous so-called native of the Caribbean, of South America, even North America, they all come from African people. Right? But the racists got them thinking that they're somehow different, and they're a different group. No, science tells you, archaeological evidence tells you that, right? So they're not different. They're just different on the outside. But go down to the science, they're not different. They all come from the original black man and black woman. And that's the truth. All right? Yeah. Anyhow, I'll talk to you guys in the next video.